Welcome to the Wood Turning Workshop. I've been receiving a few emails from some of you out there asking for a little bit more advanced project. Well, you better be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. Today, on a scale of 1 to 10, this is almost an 11. We're going to make this beautiful stave vessel. But don't worry, I have a really good friend, Bob Fulton, who I call the genius of the jig, who's built a great contraption to help you make this project. Stay tuned. Bob Fulton is a fantastic turner. He's 85 years young and turns out more work than a lot of turners half his age, or a little bit more than half his age even. He's also really good at making devices, jigs to help him with his projects. And all that genius and energy starts here in Bob's shop. The tools we'll need for today's project are a little bit different than normal. You're going to need a table saw. You'll also need a sliding compound miter saw or a compound miter saw with a blade that's 12 inches. A belt sander that has a belt that is at least 3 inches wide and 10 inches long. An electric or battery powered hand drill, a 7/16 of an inch open-ended wrench, some clamps, a couple of Bob Fulton special jigs and gadgets, and even though they're not tools, you need to make sure that you have on hand wax paper, wood glue, and masking tape. Bob, thank you for having us in your shop.
Good morning, Tim.
Oh, and I got to tell you, this is what a shop should look like. This is a wonderful place.
I wish it was twice as big, but it's not, so I have to live with it.
Well, you are going to help us out with a fantastic project today, and these stave vessels are beautiful. How'd you come up with the idea?
Well, I just decided that there must be a better way to do this without wasting a lot of the precious tropical hardwood.
Uh-huh.
And so I've been working at trying to figure out a way to do staves that would allow you to do that, and it's just like the bottom of a nail keg.
Yeah.
So if I cut the staves, I can get away from wasting all that inside wood that we would normally cut away.
And you can also work with boards, right?
Well, I do work with boards. Almost all of this is 3/4 lumber.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So there's no thick pieces of wood used except for the top sometimes.
Uh-huh. Well, where do we start?
Well, we need some staves cut, some detail pieces that are like this.
And that's what these are right here, the real thin marks?
Yes, that would go in here like this.
Uh-huh.
And the 3 of these have to be cut and then glued together.
Okay.
They need to be relatively the same size.
Now, how do you make wood that thin?
Well, we take 3/4 lumber again and cut it on the table saw.
Okay.
So I'll show you how to do that.
Let's make up a couple.
All right.
Now, I got eye protection here. Thank you for that. And I understand too, though, this is one of the critical things for being able to cut the lumber that thin also, isn't it?
I had a little trouble trying to find a way to cut the staves and get them all exactly the same size. Mm-hmm. And looking in Kelly Mailer's book on table saws, I found that I can make a jig like this, which will allow me to cut a piece off the side each time, and as it goes through, it cuts exactly the same size each time.
And that little piece of wood right there is so thin, but that's what the wood rides on,
this
right?
this is the thickness of this detail strip that we're going to cut.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So
excellent.
as it goes through, it cuts off just a piece that wide each time.
Okay, well, let's make a couple.
All right.
Oh, that's fantastic, Bob. That really works great.
Now, after you,
They're all perfect.
they'll all be exactly the same size. And when you get down to where this is a little too thin, your hands get a little close. It's time to quit and throw this away. Tim, once we've got these strips cut for the detail strips, this is a different color, but you use a lot of different colors.
Right.
So we're going to cut those strips up into 7-inch pieces. 7 inches has come to be about the right length.
Okay.
So we're going to take 2 of the purple heart strips and 1 of the yellow heart
Yep.
and glue these together into a little composite piece.
Oh, nice contrasting colors. So just slather the glue on?
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if there's a little burn mark. These woods are real hard, so sometimes they burn. But that's going to be on the side. You're going to cut that away.
Now, am I going to get messy?
You'll get a little messy, but
No. Well, it takes me back to my kindergarten times when I finger painted a bunch. So just, you want full coverage on this?
yes, full coverage on each piece because the wood will tend to absorb some of the glue or the moisture out of the glue. So
Gotcha.
you want to be sure you've got full coverage.
Okay.
It's better not to get gobs of glue all over everything.
I think we're past that point.
We're gonna take that away.
Now, do I need to do this side
Need
too?
to cover this side too.
Okay, I got a little extra on my finger, at least I won't waste any. Some more. Now, this glue has a good working time? I mean, it won't set up right away?
Yes, I'm using a glue that has a little extra setup time.
Yeah.
So that we'll have time to put these together.
Okay, my nose itches now, Bob. Can you help me with that?
Scratch your own nose.
Okay, now what do I do?
Now, put it right there.
Okay.
And roll it up. Roll the sandpaper around it.
Okay, sandpaper. Oh, you mean wax paper?
Roll the wax paper
That's
around
the
it.
thinnest looking sandpaper I've ever seen.
And keep it.
Okay.
Roll it all the way over.
Oh, okay. Hold it tight as I do that. Okay. And then fold.
Fold the ends over.
Okay.
And then be sure that its end to end is equally spaced.
Okay. It's wrapped nice and tight.
All right, now you just need to make 8 of those just like that. The detail strips. Put them into the clamps and clamp them.
Right.
And you can clamp all 8 at the same time.
Now, why the wax paper? I never asked.
The wax paper just keeps the glue from getting all over everything.
Oh, okay.
And then after it's set for about 30 minutes, you can take the wax paper off and let the glue dry.
Gotcha.
And then you have to sand those surfaces because the glue will have gotten around and that would prevent it from being a tight fit.
Okay. Well, let's see. I've got these to make. So what's the next step? While I'm doing this, you got something you can be doing?
Well, we got to make the staves now.
Okay.
And the staves are going to be made on the compound miter saw.
Now, the staves are the thicker part of the piece, right? That these
The staves are going to be around an inch wide at the bottom, depending on the size base you want to make. But we've got to get the saw blade set at exactly 22.5 degrees, and we got to get the rotation at about 4 or 5 degrees, depending on what size you want.
And that's the way you have it set up right now is to make the project we're making.
Yes.
Those measurements can change.
This is known as a Wixie, and it'll give you a setting down to 1/10 of a degree. So
Oh, that's cool. So your saw set up with the proper angle, and these staves are going to be about 7 inches tall?
yes, each stave, I found that 7 inches is about the proper amount
Okay.
to get the staves 7 inches tall in order to make this thing. So the first one I made was called Long Tall Sally because the staves were too long.
Ah.
So now we need to take,
Oh, you got some nice sycamore there.
we've got these pieces of quarter sawn sycamore. This allows you to see the detail in the sycamore on all the sides. So we want to set this up here, clamp it in, and we want to be sure that we cut an edge off there.
Because you have to get an angle on both sides, so you got to start a starting cut, right?
So we're going to start here and clamp this down. And for safety's sake, I like to be sure that it's well clamped down all the way.
Gotcha.
And then we come out here.
Bob, have I mentioned you got some great toys?
It's real important that you don't pick the saw up until you're finished with the cut and the saw has stopped, because it'll make some cuts on the side there that you don't want.
Now you just flip that over, is
We're
that?
going to flip this over. We cut it in that direction. We're going to flip it over and put it against the stop block, which will allow us to have the thickness of staves that we want.
Now you built that whole jig system to give you the ability to repeat cuts without having to go to too much trouble, right?
Well, yeah, this allows us to cut each piece exactly the same. Now, it's against there, and I blew all the sawdust away because that's real important.
Oh, if I got in the way, it'd affect the angle, right?
Cut one more. And there we have one complete stave cut with the 4-degree angle here and the 22.5-degree angle on the sides.
Oh, neat.
Now we need 8 of those pieces. We're going to loosen this again, blow the dust away, flip the piece over, put it back against the stop block, and we want to be sure that these are well clamped down so they don't come off in our face. Going to make another stave now. Okay, we have the staves all cut.
Oh, it's a beautiful looking sycamore.
Yes, with sycamore, you get that beautiful fleck. So we want to lay these out. Tim, you can help me there.
Okay.
Lay these out so that they're relatively even at the top.
Okay.
And then we want to take a piece of tape, put it across here.
Okay.
Keep those close together. Take another piece of tape.
Whoops.
Fasten that down pretty good. And then just pick this up and roll it over.
Oh, okay.
And we want to look and see if we've got a reasonable cut. And that looks pretty good. So
you're looking for big gaps, right?
Yeah, well, you're always going to have a little bit of a gap probably, but there's about, I figure, maybe 4,000 pounds of pressure on the jig, which pulls this together, and it will equalize those.
Yeah.
We're not perfect, but that's close.
Okay.
Now.
Yeah. Well, you gave me a little bit of homework. I visited about a week earlier to get an idea of what we're doing here. So Bob gave me homework to go ahead and make up some inserts, and my wife said we had wax paper in the house, but it turned out to be freezer paper, and believe me, wax paper works a whole lot better. That's not too bad, is it?
No, that's fine. That worked real good.
So what do you do now?
We've got glue on these surfaces, and we don't want this to go in between here. So we don't want that to.
Oh, cool. It's got to fit tight between the staves, and then.
So I'm going to sand those surfaces off. Well, that's good. We just need these pieces sanded enough that they won't prevent a close fitting.
So we got 7 more of those to do, right?
You want to do another one?
Oh, well, let's get them all done so we can get the project done.
Okay, now we got these all sanded, and we're going to put those. Oh gosh, there's the glares.
What?
Hey, try this. See if you can cut some of the glare out. Oh, that's better.
You're welcome.
Okay, now, we need to pull these all apart because we checked them. So you can help me pull those apart. Just take the tape off.
Whoop. Yeah.
Save that. We may want it.
Okay. So what are we doing now?
Now we have to put a piece in between each of these.
Oh, okay. Kind of like Tinker Toys.
And you want to be sure that you get the top edge all even.
Okay.
The reason for that is that's going to go into the jig and we want that to be sitting down flat. And we don't care about the other end being perfect.
You're a whole lot better at this than I am.
Well, I've done 2 or 3 more than you have, Tim.
So, well, we're going to wind up with one extra here, aren't we?
No, it goes there.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, now we take one of these. Be sure and keep these level at the top.
Gotcha.
Don't pull it in too tight because it's pushing it way down here.
Gotcha.
Okay, you can help. Go ahead.
Are you sure? Okay. Oops. These are squirrely. They want to move. Now this is a really critical step though, isn't it?
Well, it's a critical step. The jig may pull it in, but you want to be sure that you get these pretty level at the top, and that one's a little off, so I'm going to put it that direction.
Okay. Yeah, I see a owie on this one. Okay. And this is the bottom part. This goes into the bottom part of the jig, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's really critical. Okay. I'll let you do the last one. There we go. Okay, now how do we get this sucker on there?
Now, you take a hold of this. You take a hold of it here and try to pick it up without losing pieces.
Okay.
Turn it over.
Oops.
Now we got to put it on a piece of sandpaper.
Wax paper. You got the thinnest sandpaper.
I can't get the difference between wax and sandpaper. Is there a difference?
Some days there's not.
Okay.
So, oh, glue.
Now you take the glue
Uh-huh.
and you go down into the middle.
Yep.
And we want a glue that will not set up too fast.
Right.
And I'm going to put a thin stream on each one of these.
Okay. That's the same glue we used on the little inserts earlier, right?
Yes, same glue would be fine.
Okay.
Now, Tim, you can start brushing that if you want to.
Okay. Get full coverage.
We want to get full coverage of glue on all these surfaces.
Okay. Where was this brush earlier? When I was using my fingers.
Oh, well, that was a different situation.
Yeah.
And that will, anyway, that will tend to keep you glued together.
Oh, Lord. It is going good here. Okay. Well, how are you going to hold this whole contraption together?
Well, we have a jig that we made.
Well, you want to pull that out? I'll go ahead and keep doing glue while you show us that.
All right. If you'll slide that over to the side a little ways.
This is where Bob lives up to his genius of the jig moniker. Wow, that is something else. Now, if anybody has any questions about this, at the end of the show, we'll give you some information on how to build this, or where to find information on how to build this contraption. So, what is everything I'm looking at?
There's the base of this has a faceplate on it.
Okay.
And a piece of 1-inch plywood.
And this attaches to your lathe. And what are those?
Well, these are jack screws.
Really?
And they will be used a little later. I've got to loosen them up a little bit. They'll be used a little bit later to loosen this thing up to get it centered on the lathe.
Oh, okay, so it balances you out. Oops, ran out of glue here. Start back up.
And I want to be sure that this floating base is down on here.
And that's what the jack screws, oops, getting messy here.
I want the jack screws to be loose now, so that the floating base will come down all the way to the base.
Okay. You should ever put me in charge of a glue bottle, by the way. Your table saw might be the worst for wear after today.
Did you know that stuff's real expensive?
So glad of you that you provided that today.
Since the base of that jig has got glue all over it, and it's going to be down on here, and this is wood, I want to put a piece of wax paper on here.
You might need to put 2 with the amount of glue I'm getting on here.
We'll do fine.
Okay, I'm almost there. I'll try to catch up with you. What were those things you were taking off the top?
Those are MDF rings, and they are the pieces that will go on here to clamp this down. Because each ring is a 1/2 inch bigger than the last one. So we have to find one that will go down on here and go over that setup, and we'll clamp it down.
Okay. Well, I'm down now to the last piece. Do I just kind of butter up that last little insert piece?
Yes, butter it up and stick it on there.
Okay. After I dropped it on the floor, those were my knees. There wasn't anything breaking, honest. So butter both sides, right?
As you get older, Tim, you find out that your knees do pop a little bit, and things tend to happen to you that you didn't expect.
People ask you to wear hats because of the glare.
Well, if you can't see, you can't see. So the hat was a good stopper for that.
Okay, what now?
Now,
You're the expert at this. I'll probably mess it
we
up.
got this. Well, you pick it up like this, and just bring it right up around. Fold it right up around. Take both hands.
Okay.
Fold it right up around. Then lay it over and put the big part down on the wax paper.
Okay.
Now, we want to be sure that these are all out in position.
Okay.
And you look in there and make sure they're in the position.
That one's out a little bit. That one's good. That one's good. They're all good.
Okay.
Onto here? Or do you tape it again?
Let's tape this.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Pull it in a little bit.
Okay.
And then let's put some more tape on it to be sure that we stay together good.
I don't get this messy in my shop normally. Okay, so those all should be pushed down.
You want to be sure there's nothing left here. So we need another piece to go straight up and down on that last one we put on.
Straight up and down on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that the glue will not stick this.
Oh, I gotcha. You're covering the glue so it doesn't squeeze out. This way it goes inside.
Now just set it on there.
Okay.
Now at this point you got to be sure that all of these are in well against this outside surface.
Uh-huh.
If they're not, you could be left with a gap here.
Oh, and then you'd run out of wood while you're turning it. How do you see in there?
I got a little flashlight over
I
here.
got an idea. Oh, I can see. Okay, it's much better.
Try this, Tim. That's 5.5 inches, and these are all marked.
Is there an up or a down?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
No. They're cut straight.
Oh,
and we want that to go. That's just about perfect.
Cool. Okay.
And that's 5.5.
Yeah.
So our next one.
Do we have to put nuts on here?
Put the nuts on now.
Okay.
A washer on each one.
Gotcha.
And a nut on each one.
Now, it'll take forever to get these on, won't it?
Not with our little device here.
You have another jig. Okay.
It helps to.
Have it tight. That's slick. What is it, just a piece of pipe?
That's a piece of 1/2 inch brass pipe.
Yeah.
And I just put a 7/16.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that saves a lot of work. Does that drill go any faster?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my. Now, how tight do you make this?
You need to bring that down to the point that it's pushing down just a little bit on there.
Okay. I see that got loose as that went down, so it kind of. And you use one of these?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that's loosening. Okay, I'll try that again. Okay, so how tight do you want this?
You want to get them so that they're tight, and so it's pulling that base down together.
Okay.
Just pulling it in.
Will these bow a little bit? Is that okay?
The MDF rings will bow a little bit. You don't want to get that tight, that tight at this point.
Okay.
Bring it down so it's putting a little pressure on there.
Because you can always. Are we going to tighten it more later?
Yes.
Okay.
And then let's take the 5-inch piece.
Okay.
This is a 1/2 inch smaller.
This is a really critical stage of the whole process, isn't it? Because if you don't get good pressure on here, you're going to have gaps.
That's about right. Then you
Right.
put another. This is a sort of a laborious setup, but it's not too bad when you get used to doing it.
Yeah.
Here you are.
Whew, thank you. You know better than to give me a power tool, don't you? Okay, not bad. You got so many cool things. Oops, I was a little tight on that one. Okay, so we just keep doing this until we're
Go
finished,
ahead
right?
with your wrench and just.
Okay. Oh, Bob, your shop is not for the vertically gifted, is it?
Well, no, it's a little short. It's a little short on the top end.
So we're on the lathe now with the whole contraption, so what are you doing?
Now, I'm just trying to even this up so that it will be pulling equally on all sides of the jig.
Uh-huh. Oh, so that way you have equal pressure and you don't develop a gap or anything?
Yeah, and I just guess, I'm not an engineer, but just guessing, I think there may be as much as 4,000 pounds of pressure on this
Wow.
when you get that thing down. So each one of these bolts will put a lot of pressure down.
So you're just looking straight in this as a line and using the edge of the tool rest
I'm
as a
looking
guide.
straight down.
Okay, and then you tighten it if it's sticking out, or
Right,
loosen it if it's the
if
other
it's
way.
wobbling, I want to tighten these to get them all equally down.
Oh, well, Bob, we've run out of time. I mean, this is a pretty good project, so I guess we're going to have to pick this up next week.
Well, okay, and until the next time on the wood turning workshop, keep turning, have fun.
That's my line.
Oh,
Cha.
I thought you...
Anytime.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to the wood turning it's a workshop. This week on the Wood Turning Workshop, I'm going to introduce you to the genius of the jig, Bob Fulton, who's going to teach you how to make this.
To purchase a DVD copy of this program, please call 800-823-7210. For more information about Wood Turning Workshop, visit our website, rsupublictv.org.
This week on the Wood Turning Workshop, I'm going to introduce you to the genius of the jig, Bob Fulton, who's going to help us make this beautiful staved vessel.
To make sure that this is pulling equally on all of these. I'm going to sand those surfaces off. Oh gosh, the glares.
What?
Hey, try this, see if you can cut some of the glare out.